Hey everyone, welcome back to Threaducation. In this video, we're going to be looking at the style evolution of Playboi Carti. And just to clarify, I don't mean the style of his music. Instead, we're going to be looking at how his sense of fashion has changed over his career, including some of his best fits along the way. Now, I might be a bit biased here because Carti is one of my favorite artists, but in my opinion, he's had one of the craziest style evolutions out of any rapper, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'll see why I say that. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is the style evolution of Playboi Carti. If we want to take it back to the very beginning, we'll have to start in 2011, when Carti wasn't even Carti yet. At this point in time, he was still calling himself Sir Cartier, and even though he wasn't popping off yet, we did get a glimpse of his style thanks to his music videos for songs like Cry and TEEZE. So it's pretty obvious that back then, style wasn't his top priority, and he would mostly just wear plain graphic tees. But I can't really blame him because he was only about 16, and this was way before he started making money off of rapping. I will say, however, that it does seem like his style was heavily influenced by Odd Future. Odd Future was a rap collective featuring the likes of Tyler the Creator, Frank Ocean, and Earl Sweatshirt. And when they exploded in popularity around 2010 and 2011, it created a wave of kids dressing just like them, myself included. If you guys want, I can make a full video about Odd Future's impact on streetwear, but for the purposes of this video, just know that it was bold graphics, bright colors, tie-dye, and snapbacks. Now, I wouldn't say he took it as far, but in many ways, 2011 Carti was dressed just like a young Tyler the Creator. And if you aren't buying into this comparison, go listen to and watch his music video for TEEZE. It's basically like Sir Cartier is a long-lost member of Odd Future. This stage in his style evolution wouldn't last very long, but it was the first time we saw him starting to think about how he dressed, and he would only begin to think about it more once his music started taking off. So between 2013 and 2014, I wouldn't say Carti's style changed drastically, but I wanted to include this time frame because you can definitely tell that he's starting to think about it a bit more. He was beginning to gain a little bit of traction in Atlanta's rap scene, but he was still very underground. So again, we don't have many photos or videos of him other than his homemade music videos. From what we can tell though, he was starting to take his style more seriously. In his video for Pray For Me, which came out in 2014, Carti can be seen wearing a baggy Tommy Hilfiger shirt, skinny jeans, and some all-white Nikes. Nothing too crazy here, it's not like he's wearing designer head to toe, but it's definitely an improvement from what he was wearing in 2011 and 2012. And hey, I guess it was working for him, because in a recent interview with Kid Cudi, Carti reveals that he was actually voted best dressed in high school. It was also around this time that he first started leaning more into the streetwear aesthetic with Supreme and Jordans, and it was actually his interest in streetwear that would change his life forever. Like most teenagers at the time, Carti got really into Supreme, and he started posting some of his fits online. He was still more focused on music than on fashion, but it just so happens that Ian Connor saw a post of Carti wearing rare Supreme and reached out to compliment him. The two instantly connected over their shared interest in streetwear, and both being from Atlanta, they started hanging out and eventually became close friends. Now 2015 is the year that Carti really started taking over SoundCloud, with special thanks to his song Fetty featuring Dash and Maxo Cream. But the funny thing is that when Ian and Carti first met, Ian didn't even know Carti was making music, or at least he didn't listen to it. Ian would later recall that Carti used to send him links to his songs all the time, but that he never actually listened. That was until one day Ian heard his assistant playing some music, and he asked who it was only to find out it was Carti. It was after this that Ian started promoting Carti's music heavily on social media, and he also introduced him to the ASAP mob. Yes, this was an obvious turning point for his music career, but it was also a turning point for his style, because as we'll talk about in just a bit, this would soon lead to Carti becoming one of the faces of ASAP Bari's brand VLONE. And looking back now, it's sort of crazy to think that this all happened because of his interest in streetwear. If he had never worn that rare piece of Supreme, he probably would have never met Ian. And if he had never met Ian, he probably would have never been introduced to the ASAP mob. And it's hard to say where he would be if that had never happened. Now don't get me wrong, Carti was already building a following of his own, and I'm not saying that Supreme, Ian Connor, or even the ASAP mob were solely responsible for his career taking off the way it did. But what I am saying is that from this point forward, Carti's style became a major part of his identity as an artist. 2016 was the year that Carti really hit his stride in terms of style, and it was also the year that he broke into mainstream popularity. We already know he was into Supreme, but in 2016 he really doubled down on this and started wearing Supreme in just about every single photo. Keep in mind that Supreme was more hyped than it ever had been in 2016, so a lot of Carti's fits started going viral, which gave him a significant boost in popularity. So let's take a look at a few of these fits. Here we have him in a pink Supreme box logo from 2005, the Supreme Mark Gonzalez collab pants, and a pair of Air Jordan 1s. I'll note that Air Jordan 1s would become another staple in many of his outfits, and he would mostly stick to OG colorways like these breads. We've got him here in a photograph taken by Gunnar Stahl wearing the OG Supreme Louis Vuitton box logo, which is of course one of the most coveted box logos. And then we have one of my favorite Carti fits of all time. Here he is in 2016 performing at the V-Files Spring-Summer 2017 runway show wearing the Supreme patchwork anorak, undercover jeans, and again a pair of Air Jordan 1 breads. So these are just a few fits, but I'm sure you get the point. Lots of Supreme and lots of Jordans. But I have to say that it's not just about him wearing the rarest, most expensive pieces. He also styles himself really well. He understands proportions, he knows how to stack his jeans, he's great at color selection. Overall, just a really solid understanding of self-styling. By closely aligning himself with an extremely popular brand like Supreme, Carti not only gained himself some new fans, but these fans were all fashion-minded, and this meant that they were all now paying attention to what he was wearing. So we've talked a ton about his Supreme phase, but we can't talk about the style evolution of Playboi Carti without mentioning VLONE. As I mentioned previously, VLONE is a streetwear brand founded by ASAP Bari, who is one of the founding members of the ASAP mob. When Carti started hanging out with the mob, he also started wearing VLONE. And over time he wore it so much that he became closely associated with the brand. He famously rocked VLONE in the music video for his song What with Uno the Activist, he modeled for several VLONE campaigns, and he would even go on to get his very own VLONE collab. I feel like this is a good place to mention that 2016 was also the year that Carti and Uzi started releasing music together, and in a lot of their early photos together you'll see them both rocking VLONE. So with a steady rotation of Supreme, VLONE, and Air Jordan 1s, Carti had become a fan favorite in the streetwear community by the end of 2016. But his career was about to take a major turn, and so was his style. 2017 was a big year for Carti because it was the year that he was selected as a XXL freshman, and it was also the year that he released his self-titled debut mixtape. This meant that he now had more eyes on him than ever before, and I guess that he decided it was time to step things up a bit. Carti had shown flashes of interest in higher-end designer clothing before, but in 2017 he went all in. So let's start with his GQ photo shoot. Now obviously he worked with stylists for this shoot, but it's still a side of Carti that we had never seen before. And basically every single thing he's wearing is designer. Here you can see him wearing Celine sunglasses with a silk Louis Vuitton shirt. And then here he is in a Burberry suit, Porsche designed sunglasses, and a Lanvin shirt. However, I think my favorite look from the entire shoot is him in a Gucci shirt and a blazer. I'm not even that crazy about the pieces, I just think it was classic Carti that he decided to pair them with some cloud goggles. A few other standouts from this time period include when Carti wore this parka from Raf Simons' Fall-Winter 2014 collection, when he wore Raf Simons for his photo shoot with Gucci Mane, and when he wore the Raf Simons I Love New York sweater while performing at the 2017 BET Hip Hop Awards. So I guess it goes without saying that Carti is a major fan of Raf Simons, and I have to wonder if this is the result of him hanging around A$AP Rocky, who is another well-known Raf fan. In fact, 2017 was the same year that Carti and Rocky dropped a song called Raf featuring Frank Ocean, Quavo, and Lil Uzi. So all things considered, 2017 was a big year for Carti in terms of style. Make no mistake, he was still wearing streetwear pieces, including Supreme, but he was now taking much more of an interest in higher fashion, and this was only the beginning. – 2018 was the year that Virgil Abloh presented his debut collection for Louis Vuitton, and you may recall that Playboi Carti actually walked in the runway show. Because it was Virgil's first show at Louis Vuitton, this collection was already highly anticipated to begin with, so basically everyone in the fashion world was there to witness Carti modeling a silver poncho, the Prism monogram bag, brick road pants, and LV trainers. This was definitely one of the more memorable looks from the entire collection, and even though he was already known for his streetwear-inspired style, this appearance further solidified his name in the world of high fashion. Just a few months after this, Carti would model for Virgil again in Off-White's fall 2019 show. And if you noticed something's different here, it's because this was right at the beginning of the blonde Carti era. Before moving on, I should probably also mention that 2018 was the year that he released his debut album, Die Lit. And while that doesn't have a ton to do with his style, he can be seen wearing Air Jordan 1s on the cover. So even though he's turning towards high fashion at this point, he hasn't abandoned his love for streetwear. However, everything was about to change because we were about to enter into the Whole Lotta Red era. Carti began dropping hints about his sophomore album, Whole Lotta Red, in October of 2019, and along with these hints, he debuted a whole new aesthetic. From this point forward, he was pretty much only seen wearing Rick Owens, Raf Simons, and Aleeks. Yes, he had worn all of these labels in the past, but it would usually be a piece or two here and there mixed with streetwear. Now he was putting together full outfits and going all in on this dark, gloomy, high fashion aesthetic. I mean, he even began wearing horns and fangs in some of his photo shoots, and what this tells me is that he was no longer focused on just dressing cool. He was really starting to use fashion to curate his image. And if you think about it, that's something that many popular artists do. Kanye, Travis, Rocky, Tyler, the list goes on of artists who change the way that they dress when they enter a new stage in their careers. And for Carti, adopting this dark punk rock look was the perfect way for him to transition into making more dark punk rock type music. So as we headed into 2020, Carti decided to dye his hair red, and this let fans know that Whole Lotta Red was finally on the way. About a month before the album came out, he did a photo shoot with GQ, which in my opinion featured some of his best fits of all time. He can be seen wearing a number of labels including Rick Owens, Alexander McQueen, Issey Miyake, and Raf Simons. It's fair to assume that stylists had a hand in dressing him for this shoot, but I will note that many of the pieces he's wearing are actually his own, which is pretty cool because it just goes to show that he's not just doing this for the cameras, he really is passionate about fashion. I'm gonna link this GQ photo shoot down in the description, and I highly encourage you to go check it out, because in addition to detailing each and every piece he's wearing, it talks a bit more about his rise through the underground rap scene. But anyways, it's photos like these and the ones posted to his Instagram that sparked the meme about him being a vampire, and to be fair, he really was pushing the vampire look. On December 11th of 2020, DJ Academics revealed that Kanye West and Matthew Williams were rumored to be the executive producers of Whole Lotta Red. The reason I mention this is that Matthew Williams is the founder of Aleeks and current creative director of Givenchy. He's very close friends with Carti and even had him star in the Givenchy campaign, further evidencing the fact that Carti is very well connected in the fashion industry. So Whole Lotta Red finally came out on December 25th of 2020, and even though this video isn't about his music, do let me know what you thought about the album. I personally really enjoyed it, and even if you didn't, hopefully you can appreciate his willingness to try moving his music in new directions, much like he's done with his sense of fashion. So at this point we've gone through just about every stage in Carti's style evolution. He started out heavily influenced by the likes of Odd Future, found his love for streetwear with brands like Jordan and Supreme, eventually began mixing in labels like Raf Simons, and is now fully committed to exploring this dark avant-garde side of high fashion. If you ask me, he's had one of the craziest style evolutions out of any rapper, having gone from this to this. And in my opinion, he is one of the best dressed rappers. It's not just about having these rare, eye-grabbing pieces. He knows how to style himself incredibly well. If history tells us anything, it's that there's a good chance his style will change again once he begins working on his next album. But to be honest, I think we all know it's going to be a while before that happens. So for now, I'm just excited to see him continue refining this look, and hopefully he'll continue appearing in more campaigns and fashion shows. Anyways, that is everything I wanted to touch on for the style evolution of Playboi Carti. Let me know which artist you want to see next, and if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to follow me on Instagram. Other than that, thank you for watching Threaducation, and I'll see you next time.
Iced up without a tape. 2 cribs without a tape. 2 hoes without a tape. 2 deals without a tape.
See how much more substantial my health is compared to his?